Next up, Jacksonville. Has anyone here been to Jacksonville? Give me a little yes in the chat. Has anyone here been to Jacksonville? Nobody's been to poor Jacksonville. Heather, driven through it. Yeah, poor Jacksonville. It's maybe not as fashionable a city as some of its neighbors in Florida, places like Miami and Orlando. But Jacksonville maybe isn't the most remarkable place that people want to visit. But there is a remarkable fact about Jacksonville. Do you know that people called Jack are 4 times more likely to live in Jacksonville than any other city in the US? Proportionally, of course. There's far more Jacks in New York than there is in Jacksonville. But proportionally, there are 4 times as many Jacks in Jacksonville. It's a bit strange, isn't it? Also, have you ever had a dentist called Dennis? Some of you maybe have, because people called Dennis are twice as likely to become a dentist than statistically any other name. Now that's really strange. Why do people called Jack want to live in Jacksonville? And why do people called Dennis quite fancy being a dentist? It's because we like the sound of our own name. We think our name is a little bit better than everyone else's name. Have you ever had that experience where you're in a large crowd, you're at a party or a networking event, and you just hear that kind of hum, vowel, hum, Wesley, hum, Jen. In all that noise, you can hear someone saying your name. Our brain has a bias to picking up our own name compared to everyone else's name. We like the sound of our own name. Our name makes us feel comfortable. And that's why we might want to live in a city that sounds like our name. It's why we might want to work in a profession that sounds like our name. The way that we make the most of this as speakers is if we can address our audience by name, it makes them feel involved. Now, this is super easy for me right now because this is the 9th week of this session. I've learned plenty of your names by now. I knew some of you before you even came into the Amplifier series. And even if I don't, it says your name on the screen. So right now I can go through the chat and I can pick up Jen, Hans, Heather, Lisa, Magalia, Irene, George. I can pick up all your names. And just for that little moment that I say your name, even though you know I'm just reading it off the screen, you get that little, oh, David's talking to me. That's nice. We crave attention on ourselves. And we crave attention when we don't have it. Even those of us who are more reserved, more introverted, we love to have an extra little bit of attention and focus on us. Of course, in a good way. Sometimes if you're standing on stage and you're feeling the pressure and the eyeballs on you, that's maybe not the type of attention that you're particularly comfortable with. But when someone is giving us attention and they're focused on us and they're engaged with us, we love that. Can you make the effort to learn your audience's names? So if you're in a physical setting, for example, if I have all 23 of you in a room and I have these 2 hours with you, I can probably learn half of your names in that 2 hours. Sometimes I can do better than that. Sometimes I can almost get about 100% of who I've got in a room, up to maybe about 25 or 30, roughly like a classroom. Depends on how easily I can make the associations of names. If it's something like Roger in the red shirt or Gloria with the glasses, I can make those little like mnemonics to remember people's names better. And sometimes if I can do that, I can memorize almost like a full classroom of names in a session of a couple of hours. Now, maybe you can't do that, but if you can at least learn some names and be able to pick those people out when you're speaking, you only need to learn a few, to make this effect come into play. Public speaking is this strange balance between addressing a large group of people and making that large group of people feel like they're addressed as individuals. If I'm able to even just bring Val into my speech or bring Jen into my speech, the rest of you, like Magalia and Hella, go, oh wow, Val's getting involved. David really understands us and appreciates us as people. Now, even if I can't remember your name and even if I don't say it, it makes the opportunity of one person being given that individual attention makes everyone feel that they have the opportunity to be given that individual attention as well. So if you can learn people's names in a physical setting and bring them into their speech in some way, refer back to something that they've said, refer to some information that they've given to you, bring them into a story or an example. Now, imagine that me and Heather are walking along the street one day. Don't just say, imagine me and some random are walking along the street. See if you can bring the audience in. And of course, when we're doing things virtually, I mean, you're laughing, you're playing tennis with the net down because everyone's name is right there. As soon as something comes up in their little window, you see their name. Soon as they're putting their things in the chat, you can see their name. And that's why you should ask for lots of things in the chat, because it gives you the opportunity to start learning those names. Even when I absolutely butcher people's names because they're in a difficult language that I'm supposed to know how to speak, but I can't speak, you still make the effort. And they still feel the benefits of that effort being made. So whenever you can, try and bring in someone's first name. Shreen, yeah, great question. Do you have any techniques for learning first names? That association I talked about, can you match their name to something else that you know? So for example, Roger wearing the red shirt. Okay, when I see that red shirt, I know their name begins with R. What was their name? Roger. I met a Finnish woman one time, and her Finnish name is Siri. And I didn't say this to her because I didn't want to be rude, but in my head I went, oh, Siri, like the iPhone. Hey, Siri, what's this person? So I went, Siri, like the iPhone. And that's how I remembered her. And I still remember, I mean, that was like 7 years ago, I think, that I met that woman. I still remember Siri, like the iPhone. So instead of just learning the name, try and make a quick association, something that they're wearing, a person that they remind you of. I've had some people say I look a little bit like David Tennant, the famous Scottish actor. And maybe they're just flattering me, but maybe that's also how they remember my name. I'm from Scotland. My first name's David, who's another person from Scotland, also called David, who's a lot more famous and better looking than I am, David Tennant. So that's maybe how they remember my name, as well as flattering me a little bit. So make that association with someone's name. Don't just try and remember the name by itself. Try and add some context to that name and you'll remember it better. Good question, Shirin. What you've just seen there is a snippet of my Amplify online course. Amplify, Spark Your Speeches, helps aspiring speakers to create engaging content and deliver it effectively. It's a step-by-step program that guides you through your speaking journey at your own pace. It's a series of live workshop recordings. So you get to have the interactive experience of being in that live setting, but you get to do it on your own time. No worrying about time zones, schedules, all of that kind of fluff. There's lots of additional learning resources in the course that complement and add to the workshops that you go through. It's a 12-month program, and you can access the course in the first month for a $1 trial. So you get to come into the program, see what it's all about, and see if it's going to be right for you and your speaking development. To access your $1 trial, I've put the link in the description below. If you click that link, go through to our course homepage, and at checkout, enter the code YouTube, that's where you've come from, to get your first month for a $1 trial. Click the link in the description below, and I look forward to seeing you in the course.